Hey, what's up you guys? This is Rob from The Gay Guy Plays, and today on the Quick Draw, it's time for you to get well acquainted with your pussy when we take a look at both the Adarza and Smeeta breed of kavats. Now, I am super excited for this one as I personally have an adorable kitty of my own, and now my operator can have one as well. While the kavats have many similarities to their Kubro comrades, they have a very different presence on the battlefield, focusing on player buffs as well as some very interesting subterfuge. Kavats use chance and trickery rather than sheer overwhelming force. So, be prepared to pet it, kiss it, and rub up against it, or watch that pussy bare its teeth and shred anything that comes too close to its gaping maw. Now, before you can even start breeding kavats, you'll need the Kavat Incubator upgrade segment, whose blueprint can either be researched in the Tenno lab of your clan dojo, dropped off Hayaka Masters, or purchased pre-built in the market for 175 platinum. After you've got it, saunter that sweet ass on over to the incubator on your ship and install the upgrade. Once that's done, you can go one of two ways. If you want to go full-on wallet warrior, just go ahead and pick up the Kavat starter kit, which contains 3 main items that you'll need for breeding, as well as a couple maintenance items, all for 95 plat. Now, for those of you who've got more time than you have money, your hunt begins with the Kavat genetics code. But before you hit the road, ensure that you have an incubator power core as well as an open stasis slot to breed your kitties with. You can pick up a reusable blueprint for the power core in the market for 50,000 credits. But if you don't have a spare stasis chamber, it will cost you 10 plat. Now, as for those genetic codes, basically what you'll need to do is take your scanner, either the standard one or the Samaris version, and head down to the derelict. Here you'll have to track down elusive wild kavats and scan them for a chance to acquire their genetic code, with each dropping 0 to 3 per scan. Nope, Helios will not scan these for you, so you will have to do it manually. With that done, bring the power core and 10 genetic codes to your incubator and get to baby making. Now, as for kavats in general, statistically compared to their Kubro counterparts, they aren't as robust, sporting lower HP and shield totals. But what they lack in defense, they make up for in improved evasive maneuvers and an increase in offense. With a fully ranked bite mod, the kavats sport an 87% crit chance, alongside a 6.4 times multiplier, as opposed to Kubros, who are more base damage focused, with only a 43% crit chance and a 5.12 multiplier. Also note that unlike Kubros, kavat loyalty is fixed at 100%, meaning that their damage bonus will never degrade. In addition, kavats have several very handy precepts that are exclusive to kitties, but we'll cover those after I parade around my pussies. Starting alphabetically, Rowan is my Adarza Kavat, also known as the Critty Kitty. Statistically, at max rank, it has the second lowest HP and second lowest shielding of all incubated companions. However, that doesn't mean it's completely defenseless. Its Reflect precept causes the Adarza to reflect and amplify incoming damage back at its attackers. Now, while I don't have the exact percentage, from my contacts at DE, I have been told that this is a passive ability and doesn't just occur when it hunkers down. In that same vein, some people would argue that the best defense is a good offense, and the Adarza has just that with the Cat's Eye precept, boosting the crit chance of surrounding allies by 60% for 10 seconds. Do note that the buff is additive, meaning that it's an additional 60% no matter what the weapon or ability's base crit chance is. Now, this is absolutely fantastic, as 60% is enough to push many weapons into the red crit chance territory, and the Adarza uses it pretty frequently, with only about 15 seconds of downtime between each cast. Moving along, Aspen is my Smeeta, which I refer to as the RNG kitty. Statistically, at max rank, it's got decent HP, but does have the lowest shielding of all incubated companions. However, this tricky kitty has a slick way of slipping out of the limelight. Mischief creates a decoy that rushes the enemy while the actual Smeeta drops into stealth, leaving it free to stir up all kinds of trouble. And when I say all kinds of trouble, I mean all kinds. The Smeeta comes equipped with a charm precept that offers up a smattering of random buffs. Now, unfortunately, the buffs will always show up in the UI as charm, so it's not the easiest to tell which buff you have on. However, there is a quick little key. If charm shows up and its duration is 10 seconds, that means your abilities currently cost 0 energy to cast. If charm shows up as a 30-second duration, all of your weapons and abilities that can crit will be forced to red crit. If charm's duration shows up as 120 seconds, then your resource, affinity, credits, health, and energy orb pickups are all being doubled. If you see no duration, then there is one of two things going on. Either you have the instant reload buff, or charm will block the next instance of damage you take and provide you 150 points of overshielding. And last but not least, if you see the effect occur but no charm buff, then it's probably spawned a rare resource for you. Supposedly. Now, while many of these effects do seem a bit overpowered, just keep in mind that the Smeeta uses charm far less frequently than the Adarza uses Cat's Eye, sometimes having several minutes in between each cast. In addition to each breed's unique precepts, kavats in general also have several sets that are unique to them. Sharpened Claws, when maxed out, will completely shred the armor off of a target, regardless of what level. Pounce will allow your kitty to temporarily stun your enemies, leading to this hilarious animation right here. Swipe gives them a boost to their melee range and increases the amount of enemies they can strike at once, which I think is fantastic since the AI isn't always the greatest at targeting a moving enemy. Sense Danger emits a pulse that will turn all enemies caught in it neon pink, because apparently pink is the only color you can see through walls. And lastly, Territorial Aggression temporarily creates an area that wildlife will flee from and actively avoid, because apparently that is something that mattered to us. So all in all, I'm absolutely loving the Kavats. The Adarza provides consistent crit buffs, while the Smeeta tends to surprise you with some very potent effects. The one thing that I want you to keep in mind is that Kavats, much like their Kubro counterparts, are forma intensive to optimize, taking at least 4 to get in all the good stuff, and 5 or 6 if you want a full build. In addition, their damage heavily relies on their crit statistics, meaning that they are dependent on having both Bite and Maul mods maxed out to perform at their best. So while Kavats are an amazing companion to bring onto the battlefield, as many straight guys out there can privately attest, in the long run, a good pussy will end up costing you a pretty penny. So thank you all for watching another episode of The Rundown. If you haven't already caught it, be sure to check out my previous episode on the newest Arcwing via Misha, as well as my upcoming TLDR on space cabbages and our new void system. Now, don't forget to do all the things that I asked you to do at the end of every one of these, and as always, remember, men have pussies too. They're just a little further back and a little higher up. So we've got potatoes, space cabbages, and puppy and kitty blenders. Are we trying to make a stew? Is that what this is? Like some really twisted, fucked up stew?